log in.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. I'd like to call the joint meeting of Senate Finance and Assembly Ways and Means Committee to order, and welcome to everyone who has joined us here in Carson City, in Las Vegas, and online. I am Senator Marilyn Dondero Loop, and I will be chairing the joint meeting, and would the secretary please call the roll?
Assemblymember Anderson. Assemblymember Backus. Assemblymember Brown May. Assemblymember Dickman. Assemblymember Hafen. Assemblymember Hibbets. Assemblymember Hadigi. Assemblymember Koenig. Assemblymember Moscow. Assemblymember O'Neill. Assemblymember Torres Fawcett. Assemblymember Watts. Assemblymember Yeager. Senator Buck. Senator Canizaro. Senator Neal. Senator Nguyen. Senator Stone. Senator Taylor. Senator Titus. Assemblymember Monroe Moreno. Chair Dondero Loop.
Thank you very much, and I think we have everyone, so you can just mark everybody present. Thank you very much. Before we move on to today's closings, I would like to remind you of our housekeeping items. Remember, community members and audience members, please silence your electronic devices. And if you're going to speak today, please remember to state your name for the record. And if you are presenting or giving public comment, please sign in on the sign-in sheet. And if you have a business card, please provide that to the committee secretary. That is very helpful. And today we will have 4 agencies on the agenda for budget closing. We'll follow the order on the agenda. So we'll begin with the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology. Then we'll go to Cannabis Compliance Board, then to the Gaming Control Board, and finally to the Public Employees Benefits Program. So we'll begin first with the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology. We will have Ms. Meeks join us and take us through the budget. And thank you for joining us again and all your hard work. And please go ahead when you are ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Damian Meeks for the record. I'll be presenting the budget closing for the Office of Science, Innovation, and Technology, beginning on page 3 of your packet. The first major issue, the governor recommends ARPA Capital Projects Funds Authority of $148,447 in each year of the 2025-27 biennium. The executive budget for the 2025-27 biennium does not include any revenue or expenditure authority for the office's total remaining and unexpended awards of ARPA Capital Projects Funds, federal BEAD funds, or ARPA Coronavirus State Fiscal Recovery Funds, which currently totals $738.3 million across all 3 revenue sources. During the budget hearing on March 28, 2025, the agency provided a status update on each of these 3 major federal grant funds. The agency testified that they have obligated and subawarded all 3 major federal funding sources. Following the budget hearing, the agency provided a status update of permits and signed contracts that were provided to the committees. Additionally, the agency provided fiscal staff projections to include in the governor's recommended budget. Given the December 31st, 2026 expenditure deadline for ARPA capital projects and state fiscal recovery grant funds, if this major issue is approved, the committees may wish to issue a letter of intent establishing requirements to report to the IFC on a quarterly basis for the 2025-27 biennium, to keep the committees apprised of funding received, the agency's progress in awarding funding, expended and unexpended balances, and progress made in expanding broadband infrastructure throughout Nevada, and any other points of interest that the committees may have. The decision for the committees on page 9 is as follows. Do the committees wish to include revenue and expenditure authority associated with the federal broadband projects, including technical adjustments to add ARPA capital projects funds of $121.2 million, federal BEAD funds of $418.3 million, and ARPA state fiscal recovery funds of $181.6 million over the 2025-27 biennium? If so, do the committees wish to issue a letter of intent directing OSIT to submit quarterly reports to the Interim Finance Committee for the 2025-27 biennium, with the first report covering the period of July 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2025, submitted no later than 30 days after the last day of each 3-month reporting period?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Then I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It helps to have a mic. Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve this decision unit as stated by our fiscal staff and issue a letter of intent directing OSA to submit quarterly reports to the Interim Finance Committee for the 25-27 biennium, with the first report covering the period of July 1st, 2025 to September 30th, 2025, and submit that no later than 30 days after the last day of each 3-month reporting period.
Thank you
Second.
very much. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? Not seeing any. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes, and we'll move on. Go ahead, please.
Damian Meeks, for the record. The second major issue, the governor recommends transferring general funds of $8.8 million over the 2025-27 biennium to transfer the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program, inclusive of one management analyst position, to the Nevada Medicaid Title 19 and Medicaid Administration budget accounts, contingent upon passage and approval of enabling legislation. This recommendation would leverage general funds to be utilized by the agency as the non-federal share of increased payments to support the Graduate Medical Education Supplemental Payment Program to expand financial support for growing Nevada's physicians workforce. There is a corresponding decision unit for this transfer in the Nevada Medicaid accounts. As an alternative to the governor's recommendation to transfer the program to Nevada Medicaid Title 19 budget account, the committees may wish to consider transferring the funding for the program to the account for Graduate Medical Education Grant Program account, which was established by the 82nd 2023 legislature through Senate Bill 350, but has not yet been utilized. Pursuant to NRS 223.631, any money remaining in the account at the end of the fiscal year would not revert to the general fund, and the balance in the account would be carried forward to the next fiscal year. For greater transparency, the committees may wish to consider placing the E900 decision unit general funds of $8.5 million recommended for graduate medical education grant program costs in over the 2025-27 biennium into this graduate medical education grant program account rather than in the Medicaid Title 19 budget account as recommended by the governor. The committees may also wish to transfer the graduate medical education grant program administrative costs, inclusive of the one management analyst position, to the Medicaid administration budget account as recommended in Decision Unit E903, contingent upon passage and approval of enabling legislation. In order to address issues relating to funds reverting at the end of the biennium, the committees may wish to consider transferring remaining funding in the OSIT budget account for the Graduate Medical Education Program to the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program account and authorize language in the Appropriations Act for this transfer. So on page 11, the decision for the committees is as follows. Do the committees wish to transfer the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program administrative costs, inclusive of one management analyst position, to the Medicaid administration budget account as recommended in Decision Unit E903, contingent upon passage and approval of enabling legislation? And do the committees wish to place general funds of $8.5 million recommended for Graduate Medical Education Grant Program costs for the 2025-27 biennium in the account for the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program rather than transferring the funding to the Nevada Medicaid budget account as recommended in Decision Unit E900? And do the committees wish to authorize language in the Appropriations Act to transfer the remaining Graduate Medical Education Grant Program funding from the 2023-25 biennium to the account for the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program?
Thank you very much. Any questions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve to transfer the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program administrative costs, inclusive of the one management analyst position, to the Medicaid administration budget account as recommended in Decision Unit E903, contingent upon passage and approval of enabling language, and to place general funds of $8.5 million recommended for the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program costs for the 25-27 biennium in the account for the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program rather than transferring the funding to the Nevada Medical Budget account as recommended in Decision Unit E900, and to authorize language in the Appropriations Act to transfer the remaining Graduate Medical Education Grant Program funding for the 23-25 biennium to the account for the Graduate Medical Education Grant Program.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a second.
Second.
Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes, and you may go on, please.
Thank you. Damian Meeks for the record. On page 11 and 12, there are 5 other closing items, with closing items number 4 and 5, including technical adjustments associated with budget amendment A255761003, submitted by the Governor's Finance Office on March 28th to reduce expired federal digital equity capacity grant administrative and program revenues and increase general fund appropriations by a corresponding amount. The recommended amendment would align the appropriate revenue and expenditures.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we close the other items as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Please go ahead. Do you have the next account? Yes. Okay, go ahead. Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Next up is the closing document for the Cannabis Compliance Board. It begins on page 13 of the packet. And there is one major issue. The governor recommends eliminating 2 vacant compliance enforcement investigator positions and associated operating, equipment, and uniform expenditures, which would increase reserves by $667,100 over the 2025-27 biennium. The agency indicates that the 2 positions are no longer needed for the Investigations and Enforcement Division because the number of consumption lounge licenses issued were lower than projected. The agency testified that it is working with all prospective and conditional licensees to become fully operational at this time. In addition, staff have been assisting in other functions, including compliance inspections, data analytics, licensing, and enforcing. The agency indicates the recommendation for eliminating the 2 compliance enforcement investigator positions would allow the agency to continue to effectively utilize existing resources and be well-positioned for realized growth of the consumption lounge market as more licensees become fully operational. The decision for the committees is on page 15. Do the committees wish to eliminate 2 vacant compliance enforcement investigator positions, resulting in an increase in reserves of $667,100 over the 2025-27 biennium as recommended by the governor?
Thank you very much. And are there any questions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And that's the end for you, Ms. Meeks? Or do you have one more?
We have a few more other items for this account,
Oh,
Chair.
apologies.
No.
I turned my paper too quick with wishful thinking. Go ahead, please.
Okay, Damian Meeks for the record. At the bottom of page 15 and the top of page 16 are 6 other closing items. Closing item 5, fiscal staff recommends a technical adjustment to reduce civil penalty revenue by $553,666 and reduce transfers to the state education fund by a similar amount in each year of the 2025-27 biennium. And closing item 6, fiscal staff recommends technical adjustments to update revenues in alignment with the April 2025 consensus forecast, adjust reserves to support 60 days of operating expenditures at the end of the fiscal year, and reconcile the amount budgeted to be transferred to the state education fund based on the updated revenue forecast. On page 16, fiscal staff recommends that other closing items 1 through 4 be closed as recommended by the governor. Other closing item 5 be closed with the noted technical adjustment to remove the civil penalty revenues. And other closing item 6 be closed with the noted technical adjustments to update revenues to reflect the April 2025 consensus revenue forecast, adjust reserves to align with the 60-day target reserve level at the end of each fiscal year, and reconcile the amount budgeted to be transferred to the state education fund based on the updated revenue forecasts, and requests authority for staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we close all other closing items as stated in this decision unit by staff and authorize staff to make other technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you
Second.
very much. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And now we will take a minute to shift.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I tried to get you out of it the best I could, but Good afternoon, Ms. Ellsworth. When you are ready, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kimber Ellsworth for the record, Fiscal Analysis Division. Today I'll be walking through the Gaming Control Board closing packet. The first budget account is on page 17. This is the Gaming Control Board budget 4061. The Gaming Control Board is responsible for regulating Nevada's gaming industry. The purpose of the Gaming Control Board is to protect the stability of the licensed gaming industry through investigations, licensure, and enforcement of laws and regulations to ensure the collection of gaming taxes and maintain public confidence and trust in gaming. This budget account supports the activities of the Gaming Control Board, which has 6 divisions, including administration, audit, enforcement, investigations, tax and license, and technology. This budget account is primarily funded with general fund appropriations and transfers from the Gaming Investigative Fund, which pays the investigation costs of those individuals applying for a gaming license through applicant reimbursement. There are 4 major closing issues in this budget. The first major closing issue is on page 17. The governor recommends $2.2 million in transfers from the Gaming Investigative Fund over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 8 unclassified positions and associated operating costs in the investigation division. The positions would support the workload of the division and mitigate a growing backlog of gaming licensee investigations. The table on page 18 summarizes the recommended positions, and that includes 1 supervisor of investigations, 1 senior agent of investigations, 3 agents, and 3 special agents. During the March 17, 2025 budget hearing, the agency had indicated that there had been an increase in the number of non-restricted gaming license applications, and these are typically issued for the large-scale operations such as casinos. The agency further indicated that it receives approximately 200 non-restricted gaming license applications annually and is able to process 10 to 15 per month with the current staffing levels. The 8 additional positions that are recommended by the governor would enable the division to assign and process investigations more expeditiously and to perform at the industry's desired pace. The decision for the committees is on page 19. Do the committees wish to approve $2.2 million in transfers from the Gaming Investigative Fund over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 8 new unclassified positions and associated costs in the investigations division as recommended by the governor?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I know we've had a lot of discussion on impacts to the general fund with new positions. These are not general fund positions, so with that, I will make a motion to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. And with that, I'll accept a second. Second from Senator Wynn. Are there any questions? Thank you very much. And with that, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. You may go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next major issue is on page 19. The governor recommends general funds of $1.6 million over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 6 new unclassified positions and associated operating costs in the tax and license division. These positions would ensure regulatory compliance of restricted gaming licensees. The table on page 20 summarizes the recommended positions, including 1 supervisor, 4 agents, and 1 special agent. During the March 17, 2025 budget hearing, the agency had indicated that there is a gap in the Gaming Control Board's regulatory structure for the more than 2,000 restricted gaming licensees, which are establishments with 15 or fewer slot machines and are typically family-owned, such as convenience stores or taverns. Currently, the board does not have much interaction with the restricted licensees, according to the agency. The agency further indicated that compliance issues with the restricted licensees are commonplace. The 6 new positions recommended by the governor would compose a team to conduct compliance reviews in person at the licensed establishments to verify ownership records, assess cash reserves, and provide education and support to the licensees and gaming operators. The agency indicated that having a compliance team to conduct audits on an ongoing basis would be a great benefit to the restricted licensees, and it would enable the division to build relationships with the licensees, to provide regular contacts for them, and identify compliance issues before they become irreparable. The decision for the committees is on page 21. Do the committees wish to approve the governor's recommendation for general funds of $1.6 million over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 6 new unclassified positions and associated costs in the tax and license division?
Thank you very much. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, I will accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And unlike the last decision unit, this one does have an impact on the general fund. So I will make a motion to recommend approval for 4 new unclassified positions, including 2 agents, 1 special agent, and 1 supervisor position, and associated costs in the tax and license division funded with general funds of $1.1 million over the 25-27 biennium. And by not approving 2 of the 4 agent positions, this motion results in a general fund savings of $506,628 over the 25-27 biennium compared to the governor's recommendation.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a second. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kimber Ellsworth for the record. The third major issue is on page 21. The governor recommends general funds of $404,855 over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 2 new positions and associated operating costs in the administration division. The positions include 1 public information officer, grade 37, and 1 administrative services officer, grade 41. During the March 17th, 2025 budget hearing, the agency had indicated that the volume of public, industry, and media inquiries requiring responses by the Gaming Control Board had made the public information officer position a priority. The agency also indicated that public inquiries are currently handled by each division and senior staff. Additionally, the Gaming Control Board does not have a dedicated fiscal position. The agency testified that currently 2 to 4 unclassified positions collectively work 40 to 60 hours per week to perform fiscal functions to ensure the agency stays on top of its financial transactions. The new administrative services officer position would support the accounting section to oversee budget performance and manage contracts and perform other fiscal functions. With the new position, the agency expects to gain efficiencies while alleviating the overtime for existing staff. The decision for the committees is on page 22. Do the committees wish to approve general funds of $404,855 over the 2025 to 27 biennium for 1 public information officer position, grade 37, and 1 administrative services officer position, grade 41, in the administration division, and associated costs as recommended by the governor?
Thank you very much. Any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And again, with thoughts of the general fund, we know that every dollar counts. So with this decision unit, I would move that we approve, I would recommend that we approve 1 new administrative services officer's position, a grade 41 in the administrative division, and associated costs funded with general funds of $219,114 over the 25-27 biennium. By not approving the public information officer's position, this motion results in a general fund savings of $185,741 over the 25-27 biennium compared to the governor's recommendation.
Thank you very much. Second from Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And you may go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kimber Ellsworth for the record. The fourth major closing issue is on page 22. The governor recommends general funds of $1.1 million over the 2025 to 27 biennium for the Enforcement Division to fund operational expenditures of $569,198 and change the funding source for 2 existing agent positions from federal forfeiture funds to general funds. In October 2024, the agency was notified that its Enforcement Division is not eligible for continued participation in the U.S. Department of Justice and U.S. Department of Treasury equitable sharing programs and any federal forfeiture funds not expended by June 30th, 2026 must be returned to the federal government. The table on page 23 summarizes the expenditures that are currently funded with the federal forfeiture funds, including the 2 position costs. During the budget hearing, the agency had confirmed that the federal forfeiture funds may not be used to supplant the agency's budget. The agency did identify several potential expenditures, primarily for the purchase of law enforcement equipment and supplies, and indicated that it is its intention to not revert any of the federal forfeiture funds. The decision for the committees is on page 24. Do the committees wish to approve the governor's recommendation for general funds of $1.1 million over the 2025 to 27 biennium for the Enforcement Division to fund operational expenditures totaling $569,198 and change the funding source for 2 agent positions from federal forfeiture funds to general funds?
Any discussion? I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Please go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 4 other closing items on page 24. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing items be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much, and I'll accept a motion.
Move to approve as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Wynn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And we'll go on to the Gaming Commission.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next budget account is on page 27. This is the Gaming Commission Budget 4067. The Nevada Gaming Commission is the final authority on gaming licensing matters, in addition to the responsibility of adopting regulations to implement and enforce Nevada's gaming laws. The Gaming Commission budget account supports commission salaries, 1 research staff position, and operating and travel costs. The Gaming Commission budget account is supported entirely by general funds. There is 1 major closing issue in this budget account. The governor recommends an administrative assistant position, grade 27, funded with general funds of $132,736 over the 2025 to 27 biennium. The new position is recommended to provide administrative support to the commission and would help to redistribute administrative tasks to enable the existing staff of the commission to focus on their primary duties. During the budget hearing, the agency indicated that it is approximately 4 years behind on archiving the documents associated with the approval of regulations due to the lack of administrative support. The new position would be instrumental in providing direct administrative support to the commission, and it would allow the existing senior research staff position to focus on their primary duties to the commission, and the senior research position is the only position that is currently funded in this budget account. The decision for the committees is on page 28. Do the committees wish to approve a new administrative assistant position and associated costs to support the Nevada Gaming Commission, funded with general funds of $132,736 over the 2025 to 27 biennium, as recommended by the governor?
Thank you very much. And if there is no discussion, I will ask for a motion.
Move to approve as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kimber Ellsworth for the record. There is one other closing item on page 29. Fiscal staff recommends the other closing item be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve all other closing items as stated by staff and give staff the authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes, and we'll go on to the Gaming Control Board Investigation Fund.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This budget account is on page 31, budget account 4063. Fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations for this budget account. The committees have not previously reviewed this budget account. The Nevada Gaming Control Board Investigative Fund pays all expenses incurred by the Gaming Control Board and the Gaming Commission for investigations related to applications for gaming licenses, findings of suitability, and approvals. The money in this account is funding received by the state from gaming license applicants. There is one other closing item in this budget account, and that is the corresponding transfer decision unit to fund the 8 unclassified positions in the Gaming Control Board budget in Decision Unit E650. Fiscal staff recommends this decision unit be closed consistent with the committee action on Decision Unit E650 in the Gaming Control Board budget account, and requests authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Any questions? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve closing this decision unit as stated by staff and authorize our staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And with that, we will change staff. Thank you very much, Ms. Ellsworth. And we will, for just a minute, pause while we wait for the Mr. Hartz to join us. If you're ready, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. For the record, Alex Hartz, Fiscal Analysis Division. We're closing 3 budgets today for the Public Employees Benefits Program. The first budget begins on page 33 of your closing packet. There are 3 major closing issues which begin on page 35 of the closing. The first major closing issue is the plan design for the 2025-27 biennium. As the committee will recall, the budget overall typically does not include separate decision units for the plan design as approved by the board and recommended by the governor. I would ask if you turn to page 45, you will see attachment A, which was the plan design provided to you when the budget was heard on February 14th. Just to refresh your memory of what the benefits for the upcoming biennium will be. This has not changed since the budget hearing. However, within the budget as recommended by the governor, on page 36, there are 2 separate decision units for the committee's approval, which are also included on attachment A. The first is decision unit E250, which restores with participant premiums, state subsidies, and non-state revenues, the life insurance for state active employees at $25,000 and for state retirees at $12,500. For the current biennium, this was funded by general fund appropriations. The second decision unit is the E251, which addresses a slight increase in the state contribution for individuals who could be considered dual enrollees in both Medicare as well as the PEB program by virtue of either being a dependent or being a covered dependent while still enrolled in Medicare. The decision for the committee with regard to the overall plan design is at the bottom of page 36. Do the committees wish to approve the funding included in the executive budget for the 2025-27 biennium for the benefit levels shown in attachment A and inclusive of the funding recommended in decision units E250 and E251?
Thank you very much. And with that, do we have any questions? I see Assemblymember O'Neill has a question.
Thank you, Chair. And it may be best, actually, if Ms. Glover or somebody from PEP could come down to the table for a second, please.
If someone is here, we would ask you to join us. Thank you very much.
And if I may, Ms. Glover, you and I have communicated several times over an issue dealing between United Health, our employees and retirees health plan in Carson Tahoe Hospital. And I had a series of questions, Chair, but one of the reasons why I was late as I was going through my emails, and I just received an email from you today, Ms. Glover, in response to our communication. And I have two questions now. And if I may, I just want to quote part of the email you responded and see that's correct so we can get it on the record. And it reads, based upon CTH's, Carson Tahoe Health's, willingness to extend the current contract, PEB members will be able to access CTH at least until the end of the calendar year, and I'll assume that's 2026 or 2025. Is that correct?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. Yes, that is correct. We have been talking to them for quite some time. They have agreed to extend their contract until the end of the year, December 31st, 2025.
And if I may follow up, how will that be communicated out to our active employees and retirees? Because I'm getting emails, that's what precipitated this all, emails saying they've need to have medical issues addressed, and they were told that come May, they can't use CTH. So what will be the mechanism for both the membership and also the providers that are giving conflicting information now?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. So we are working on a communication plan as we speak. I just got that confirmation this morning, so hence why you didn't get the email till earlier today. We will send out notifications typically through email. We'll put something on our website. We're hoping that Carson Tahoe will at least tell their own providers, but if anybody calls in, we have a message for our member services unit, which is the customer service group, to let the members know who are inquiring about their coverage.
I appreciate that. May I also ask or suggest, could we put it out to mail? Because just putting it on your website and on the email notices, particularly with a lot of the retirees, we hear it regularly, do not actively or have computers or are not computer savvy as much. I know to the active employees, it's easy to get the information, but for the retirees, could we go that extra length to mail?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. We will do that within what we have left in the budget to get things mailed out. We will also be putting information in our newsletters and try to get it out any way we can.
I greatly appreciate that, and thank you very much. Postcards may be a little less expensive, but just as a suggestion. And I share with that, I'd just like to have, I need to make a statement also.
Please go ahead.
Let me find it. In consultation with our LCB Legal, I would like to make a disclosure that I would like to advise the committee that we'll be voting on a variety of budget issues today, that I'm on the board of directors of Carson Tahoe Health Systems. I have sought the advice of our legislative counsel, and based upon that advice, I am making this disclosure. However, after my discussion with the legislative counsel, I have determined that this budget does not affect, or any of these budgets does not affect, me any differently than any other officer or employee of a health system, and I do not feel that participating in voting on this budget impedes my independence of judgment. Thus, I will be participating in voting on today's budget. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, and I'll go to Assemblymember Brown May.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you. It's very great to see you here today. Following up on my colleague's line of questions, I just want to be really clear. The reason that our state staff are having this problem accessing Carson Tahoe is really a larger negotiation issue with through UMR. Is that correct?
This is Celestina Glover. That's correct. Carson Tahoe has indicated that they do not wish to continue with the United Healthcare Network. So it's the negotiation between those two parties, and PEB and anybody else that uses that network is kind of caught in the middle of it.
Thank you for that. So in our backup documents, if I may, Chair. Thank you. In our backup documents, it's noted that we are considering what we will eventually consider, and haven't really yet, the Nevada Health Authority, right? Which parts of what PEB does is anticipated to move into the Nevada Health Authority. I'm curious to know if that potentially, is there a way in that transition we could create some sort of language to allow you to negotiate directly with Carson Tahoe to be able to solve this issue long term? Is there some regulatory piece as we're transitioning PEB to Nevada Health Authority that we can help to solve for our state employees that are here in the north?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. Ms. Weeks and I have been in discussions about how we can address issues like this. We believe that PEB being a part of the Nevada Health Authority potentially gives us access to contracts they may have. We, as an agency, standalone, we do not have the expertise or resources for direct contracts with providers. So this may be an avenue that will allow us to do that. We do not have any barriers in our contracts or regulations that I'm aware of that would stop us from doing that. It's just we don't have the resources on staff, so this may help.
Thank you. Thank you for that. And Chair, I just wonder if we can have this perhaps as a follow-up item as we continue to consider the Nevada Health Authority, so that potentially we would be able to address the ability for PEB to be able to contract specifically with the provider network that's close here.
Thank you very much. All right. I believe Senator Wynn has a question.
Thank you. This is also for you, actually. I'm looking at the documentation that was provided to us prior to today's meeting, specifically about the Medicare retiree health reimbursement arrangements, or those HRA contribution accounts. I know that currently, as a part of what we are considering here today, it would be $13 per year of service. I am interested in, with the increasing costs of healthcare, if we can provide our retirees and our state employees with those kind of, ability to utilize those accounts to help with these rising costs of healthcare. I know that we had looked into increasing this, and I think I just received some documentation that it would be approximately, it looks like about $3 million per year for every dollar that we add to that. Is that your understanding as well?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. Yes, I provided some calculations to staff regarding an additional dollar, and you can use that number going forward.
I was blinking. That makes me very nervous in this building. I guess my next question is, as I know that you're in the process of open enrollment, if we were to make any kind of change to that account, would that give you enough time to be able to make those changes? Or would we have to implement the rollout next year in order to not have to redo some of those, I guess, things that are out pending, if you know that answer?
This is Celestina Glover for the record. We are in the process of testing rates right now, and we're within 2 weeks of open enrollment. So although we would love to give the additional funds now, it would work better if we did it for the next plan year, so 2027.
So the plan years are, I guess this is fiscal year 26 coming up here. Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Any additional questions? All right, we're going to just take about a 2-minute recess, and if you'll just allow us that time, and we'll welcome Mr. Hartz back up, but we will go into recess for about a few minutes.
can still just go with.
All right, we'll come back into the meeting. Thank you very much for the time. And Mr. Hartz, if you will go ahead and sort of get us back on track. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For the record, Alex Hartz, Fiscal Analysis Division. Prior to the interlude, we were on the bottom of page 36, the decision for the committee, and that was, do the committees wish to approve the funding included in the executive budget for the 2025-27 biennium for the benefit levels shown in attachment A and inclusive of the funding recommended in decision units E250 and E251.
Thank you very much. And I will ask for a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I move to approve this decision unit as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. You may go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second major closing issue begins on page 37. This deals with the plan's inflation and trend adjustments and incorporates two decision units, the M101 and the E252. The governor recommends increased participant premium, state and non-state contribution revenues of $82.3 million in fiscal year 2026 and $134.6 million in fiscal year 2027 to fully fund medical, pharmaceutical, dental inflation, which is otherwise referred to as trend, for the 2025-27 biennium based on projected increases in claims costs due to inflation and utilization changes. Beginning on page 38, at its March 20th, 2025 meeting, the PEB board received updated information from its actuary for plan years 2022 through 2024. PEB's medical trend was 6%, pharmacy trend was 17.5%, and dental trend was 4.9%. For plan year 2025, the plan year in which we were in, the actuary is estimating PEB medical, pharmacy, and dental trends will be 6.8, 15.5, and 2.4% respectively. And when rebates are applied on the pharmacy trend, it will be reduced to 13.9%. The decision for the committee is, do the committees wish to approve funding totaling $40.0 million budgeted in the M101 decision unit and $177 million budgeted in the E252 decision unit to fund projected medical, pharmaceutical, and dental trend in the 2025-27 biennium as recommended by the governor.
Thank you very much. And are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The third major closing issue deals with the plans maintained reserves, and there are two decision units, the M102 and the E253. The governor recommends net revenues totaling $57.7 million over the 2025-27 biennium and expenditure adjustments to fund PEB's actuarially determined reserve levels to cover unanticipated claims, costs, and expenditures. To fund reserves, $12.7 million in state participant premiums and $40.9 million in state subsidy revenues, and an additional $4.1 million in total non-state subsidies and premiums are recommended over the 2025-27 biennium. The committees will recall that at its most recent interim finance committee meeting, there was a work program which reduced the reserves to pay current year claims costs. That was approximately $15.3 million. The plan won't know, or PEB won't know, the impact on its budget for the fiscal year 2026 until it closes its budgets in September of this year. The other issue related to this as part of the decision before the committee is, for the last several biennia, the Authorizations Act has included language which requires PEB, before it acts, utilizes its reserves to change health benefits, to seek approval from the Interim Finance Committee. On bottom of page 40, there is draft language staff is presenting to the committee for inclusion in the upcoming Authorizations Act for the 2025-27 biennium. The two changes that staff would recommend are on the top of page 41, and that is the addition of the word "any" to clarify that this requirement applies to any of the PEB's 4 reserves, not just the excess reserve. And the third is that it clarifies that the requirement to come to PEB would include not just changing the health benefits, but any use of the funds, including but not limited to reducing or offsetting participant premiums. So the decision is on page 41 for the committees. Do the committees wish to approve net revenues totaling $57.7 million over the 2025-27 biennium as budgeted in the M102 and the E253 decision units to fund PEB's actuarially determined and recommended reserve levels in the 2025-27 biennium as recommended by the governor? And do the committees wish to approve the addition of language in the 2025 Authorizations Act regarding the use of plan reserves to reduce or offset participant premiums?
Thank you very much. Are there any questions? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to approve as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 7 other closing items. As shown in the table on page 41, fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 7 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Assembly Member Monroe Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and please forgive me. I'd like to rescind the last motion because I made a mistake in giving that motion. Is that possible?
Yes, ma'am, and thank you for noticing.
Thank you.
The motion has been made to rescind the motion that Assembly Member Monroe Moreno made, second by Senator Wynn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Now we can move on. Assembly Member Monroe Moreno, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Now, I would like to move that we approve that decision unit as stated by staff and approve the addition of language in the 2025 Authorizations Act regarding the use of plan reserves to reduce or offset participants' premiums. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the correction. And do I have a second? Second. Second by Senator Wynn. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, now I'm sorry, Mr. Hartz.
Not a
Can
problem.
you
Absolutely. I'll be
make
happy
the circle and start over again?
I will be happy to. Other closing items, there are 7 as shown in the table on page 41. The decision is fiscal staff recommends other closing items 1 through 7 be closed as recommended by the governor and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that all other closing items 1 through 7 be closed as stated by staff and give staff authority to make technical adjustments as necessary.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Wynn. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much. And please go ahead when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next budget account begins on page 51. This is a staff closing account. This is the PEB Active Employees Group Insurance, budget account 1390. This is the mechanism by which the state collects its contribution for active employees participating in PEB. Fiscal staff is responsible for developing closing recommendations for this budget account. The committees have not previously reviewed this budget account. There are no major closing issues. There are other closing items which begin on page 51 and continue on to page 52. Staff would draw your attention to other closing item 12, and this is the information with regard to the state contribution. In total, the governor recommends total active employee group insurance contribution revenue of $356.8 million in fiscal year 2026 and $369.3 million in fiscal 2027. There is a table also shown on page 52, which shows in the shaded area, the governor recommended active employee group insurance per participant per month state contribution, which would be $991 in fiscal year 26 and $943 in fiscal year 27. Closing packets for this budget account are included in the summary page, or closing recommendations are in the closing packet, which I will get to shortly. I would be happy to answer any questions before moving on, Madam Chair.
Any questions? All right, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next budget account is on page 55. This is budget account 1368. This is the collection mechanism for the state's contribution for retired employees' group insurance. Fiscal staff is also responsible for developing recommendations for this budget account. The committees have not previously reviewed this. There are no major closing issues. There are other closing items, which begin on page 55 and continue onto page 56. Other closing item number 13 is the actual mechanism by which the governor recommends total Regi assessment revenue of $71.5 million in fiscal year 2026 and $71.5 as well in fiscal year 2027. The assessment is calculated as a percentage on gross salaries in each budget account. For the upcoming biennium, the governor recommends the assessment be set at 2.59% in fiscal year 2026 and 2.50% in fiscal year 2027. As you look in the table immediately after, as part of item 13, you will see the governor recommends that for non-Medicare retirees with 15 years of service, the state's contribution on average is $650 towards the retiree health insurance in fiscal year 26 and $700 in fiscal year 27. And then other item 14, which is on page 48, is a discussion that was previously had, and this reflects the $13 per year for 15 years of service for Medicare retirees. Madam Chair, before I move on to the summary document on page 59, I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions, committee? Seeing none, you may go on.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As previously noted, fiscal staff is responsible for developing recommendations for the following budget accounts. To assist with closing, fiscal staff has identified the budget accounts that are recommended to be closed as recommended by the governor. Fiscal staff recommends that the following budgets be closed consistent with how the committees closed budget account 625-1338 and requests authority for staff to make technical adjustments as necessary. Budget account 625-1390 PEB Active Employees Group Insurance, and budget account 680-1368 PEB Retired Employees Group Insurance.
Thank you very much. And if there are no questions, I'll accept a motion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that budget account 625-1390 and 680-1368 be closed as stated by staff.
Thank you very much. Second by Senator Nguyen. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Thank you very much, and thank you, Mr. Hartz, for joining us today. All right, with that, That brings us to our last agenda item for the day, public comment. For those of you providing public comment, please remember to state and spell your name for the record. To call in during public comment period, the number will be 888-475-4499. And when prompted to provide the meeting ID, please enter 882-9993-9287, and then press pound. And when prompted for your meeting ID, please press pound. I will begin with public comment here in Carson City. Thank you for joining us at the table. And if you're ready, please go ahead.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. Tess Opferman here on behalf of the AFSCME retirees. I just want to thank this body for approving the budget as written. One of the things we worked hard for last session was the life insurance, returning that to pre-pandemic levels. So this body chose to fund that last session, and it was now included in GovRec, and we wholly appreciate this body approving that. As you know, I have talked ad nauseum about the HRA for the Medicare retirees, which is calculated at the $13 per month per year worked. I will continue to talk about that. We wholly understand the budget situation this body is facing this session, so we understand if that's not a viable option, but like I said, I am going to continue to talk about it, and if there is any opportunity as we move through the rest of session, we will be grateful for that. Thank you very much.
And thank you for your comments. Go ahead, please.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the committee. My name is Cassie Charles, and I'm the political representative for AFSCME, representing thousands of active state employees across the state. First of all, thank you for your effort to advocate for state employees in a time when we are fighting to make every single dollar count. We recognize all of your hard work to ensure that as many dollars as possible are being spent to help our hardworking state employees. We appreciate the conversation we have had today discussing improvements we can make to PEB program and the budget that has been proposed and approved. When talking with our members out in the field, one of the most consistent points that our members bring up is improvements that can be made to their health benefits. And I'm grateful that we have a legislature that's willing to continue to have these conversations with us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Kent Irvin, Kentervin for the Nevada Fact Alliance. Ditto to the two previous comments, and just recognizing that maintaining these PEB benefits with the high trends is already a heavy lift, but we look forward to any future improvements that might be possible. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. Terry Laird, Terrillaird, the Executive Director of the Retired Public Employees of Nevada. Again, I ditto the remarks made by the former speakers as well. I'd also like to concur with Assemblymember O'Neill's remarks as it relates to getting information out to those retirees. A lot of our folks are not online. Our pen does offer a bi-monthly newsletter where we have a Health Matters column there that PEB has always been responsible for. We allow it for free. There's no charge. We have about 7,000 dues-paying members throughout the state, and that's a great forum for them to reach some of those people. Not all of them are in PEB, of course, but a lot of them are. So we really would like to see that happen at some point. It has happened in the past since 2016, and I know Celestina Glover's been very busy, so she hasn't been able to do it. So I've been filling in with my notes on PEB board meetings. So, and I'll continue to do that as long as we have to, but that is an excellent forum for them to use. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and thank you for what you do for the retirees. Seeing no one else here in Carson City, seeing no one in Las Vegas, we'll go to the phone lines. AVH, when you're ready.
Thank you, Chair. The public lines are open and working. However, there are no callers to provide public comment at this time.
Thank you very much. All right, with that completes our agenda for this afternoon. I'd like to thank everybody for being here and being flexible on the start time. As a reminder, the joint subcommittee meetings tomorrow will begin at 9 a.m. and this meeting is adjourned.